Sorry, let me in. Mind the lump on my back. I've got a heat bag down there.
Lovely way to start the Zoom, Joe. Lovely way to start the Zoom. So welcome to our cake pricing unboxed. We were trying to think of a name that we could give like this live chat group because it is basically a chat group. It's not us lecturing you. It is an open forum to ask questions and stuff, and to have those discussions about cake pricing that people tend to not like seeing in groups, or it can get really
Heated.
yeah, heated is probably the word I was going to use is bitchy, but I was kind of like, yeah, we can use that word. Like,
Yeah.
we're all fine with that. It can get really heated, and it's not nice, and it is conversations that we need to be having. So we thought we were going to do a live in Joe's group, but it just wouldn't
Facebook
go
didn't
so well.
like us.
It didn't like it, did it?
No, no, we did try that before Christmas, and it really didn't like us. So I'm Joe. I've got Joe's Cake Studio and community group as well. And I kind of bake cakes for content. I make design recipes and design cakes. So up to now, I don't sell cakes apart from in the cafe, which is a completely different animal. Um, However, I've decided this year, because I haven't got enough going on, I'm going to start actually selling cakes because I'm constantly being asked by friends and I end up giving them for free, which is all right because I get to do something for content that is going to somebody and it's more than just a small cake. So it's kind of worked out for me over the last few years, but I've decided that actually I'm going to commit to a couple of cakes a month. I'm not going to be a full-time baker at all, but the pricing structure, even though I've created a fantastic pricing spreadsheet, I say fantastic, I did it 4 years ago and I've never used it, but it's fantastic. It pulls the price down for you, it gets all your ingredients in, it does everything. But the artistic side of it, that bit, and all of the other bits that you never think of, I kind of think, we should be talking about it, as Emma says.
So, for those that don't really know me, because I know that not everyone's going to know me, I like to think that everybody does know me, but they might not. I'm Emma, and I run Emma Stewart Cake Design and Emma Stewart Cake Academy. I have been in the industry now for 14 and a half, coming up for 15 years. I am self-taught. I always say predominantly self-taught because I have done 1 2 day course back in 2016 with Faye Cahill when she was over from Australia. And I have done a couple of online classes. So it's not going and doing like patisserie training or any like full length or more or one-to-one work. I haven't done anything like that. Everything is pretty much self-taught. And I specialize in weddings. I do some celebration cakes, but not too often, primarily because people just people in my area tend not to want to pay the prices that I would charge because I have a certain minimum spend that they would have to do for me to turn my oven on. Just because I protect my time and I value my time, but that doesn't always work for everybody, and I fully understand that. And another reason I don't is because I don't advertise as much. I do celebration cakes. I stopped doing that because I was getting so many character cake requests and for kids' cakes, and I didn't have the joy from doing them. I wasn't being given the freedom that I wanted in the design work. And those that do come to me now give me a theme and let me go with it. And they don't question my pricing, and they're repeat customers, which I love. The other aspect of what I do is the academy side. So under Emma Stewart Cake Academy, I have my free group, and I also have my online membership, which is Luxury Cake Academy, which Manel is in. And we do a lot of training on there. We do everything from cake skills to sugar floors to cake business. So pricing chat, we do that quite regularly. We probably have 2 or 3 a year live sessions where we catch up and we have chats about um, cake pricing and where we're at with it and how we feel customers are understanding it, how we're feeling with confidence with pricing and things like that. So I'm going to throw back to Joe and ask Joe what questions have you got? Because we were kind of going to do it as a bit like an interview and an open session. So
Yeah.
if you do have questions, do
Yeah.
ask questions because it is open chat. If you don't want to unmute yourself, the chat box should be there, so you should be able to pop your comments in the chat box as well.
Just put that there. So yeah, I mean, I have a million questions. I did an experimental cake before Christmas for a friend, and he gave me complete free reign on it. All he wanted was a mermaid on it. It didn't have to be Little Mermaid, just wanted a mermaid. And I'd got this spiral cake in my head. And so, because it was a brand new design and something I'd never done before, and there's loads of things I'd do completely different, but I love the design of it.
Mm-hmm.
How would I, never doing that design before, cost that for a customer prior to it going out?
Okay, so when it comes to pricing up orders, I know a lot of people used to use the likes of Bake Diary when Bake Diary was around for, especially for celebration cakes, not so much for wedding cakes from my experience, from what I've heard. I did have Bake Diary. I only had it to have a quick look to see what way their systems work because I know a lot of people that I've worked with used it. So I wanted to have an understanding of how the system they were using worked. Um, so if you're using a system that you're putting all your pricing of your ingredients in and then you're using it to price up your recipes, some of them will work from like a when it comes to the skills part, that's the bit that's the area that's actually your time.
Yeah.
That's the area that actually throws people. Some of them will do everything based on a price per hour, and some of them will average that price per hour. You have to work out the average for all of your skills. Some of them will allow you to put in different pricing for different skills that you're doing. Or you might choose to do it per skill
Yeah.
as such. So I sort of do a little bit of a mix. I do a base price calculation, so that's like everything to get my cake to plain covered.
Yeah. So you know what size cake you're doing, you know how much ingredients you're using and all of
Yeah.
that. And then this brand new design, you don't know how long that's going to take you.
So I do it all to that point and knowing how long that's going to take me. I have it worked out to a point where I can say I do it. I do it more of an American way, so I would do like a price per portion.
Okay.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to for my wedding cakes and that, it works out better because it encapsulates like consultation time and email. Like it's an easier way of doing it that way. So I do it as a price per portion, and that's easier for me to get my base ballpark on. And then I do a mix of timing and skills. Like it sounds a bit funny, so it'd be like if I'm doing piping, if I'm doing royal icing, then it would be like, okay, how long is that going to take me roughly to do? And I have a price that I put on that for if it's going to take me an hour, it's that price per hour.
Yeah.
Or if I'm doing a monogram, it's that monogram's going to take me probably 45 minutes from start to finish. So I'm going to pricing an hour because that allows me if I've got to adjust things and resize monograms and things like that.
Sorry, so may I ask, so what would you charge per hour for something like that?
So for my monograms, they usually would take me about 45 minutes to an hour for my monograms, and I normally charge between 50 and 65 pounds, depending on how complicated the design is. If it's got lots of layers to it, then it might be a bit more, you know, because some of them are really bespoke, and I've created the whole monogram itself. Sometimes they're being lifted from an invitation and then transferred on.
Yeah.
And then doing the detailing.
Long process, yeah.
So even though it's only taking you 45 minutes to actually create the physical thing that the cake will end up with, you've got all that work in the foreground, haven't you?
Yeah, so like you'd have, well, it depends on how long as I say, how complicated it is. Normally they wouldn't take me any more than an hour from start to finish, and that usually includes like transferring it on, creating the right size to transfer on. if I'm creating the monogram from scratch, then it's going to obviously take longer. But if I'm lifting it from their invites, I've already got that template there. I get them to send like a flat layover.
Yeah.
You know, like when they get sent the proofs,
Yeah.
you get the proof, and then or if they've got a picture of it and it's almost a flat laid, and you can lift from that.
Yeah.
It's just about sizing it. And a great tool for that is actually Canva, because if you take the picture that they sent you, if it's got like background detailing or other wording there, and you want particular letters or just the whole monogram, if you stick it into Canva, you can actually remove the background.
Yeah.
And it will quite often lift all the busyness in the background away and leave you quite a clear outline. So I will adjust that pricing according to how much intricacy there is around creating that template in the first place. Then things like stenciling I find quite easy. I would charge £15 per length of stencil.
Okay, that's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, it's breaking it down.
Yeah.
If it's quite a simple stencil, £15 per stencil. So
And for any size cake.
Yeah. So like if I was doing a 6-inch tier, I'm going to need one and a tiny bit. So I might put £20 on there. If it's a 10-inch tier, you're going to need two. If you're doing like a piece of paper.
Yeah, it takes how many times?
If you've got the stencil this way, so if you're doing a 10-inch, it would usually take that way. You're going to need 2.5 or 2 1/3 roughly. Yeah. But because I've been doing it so long, I know roughly how much each thing is. If it's a fairly simple stencil to match up, then I would just do it at the £15. If it's something that's more intricate pattern and is going to take more time to match up, then I might put another £5 on or another £10 on for lining up joins and things like that, because seams are an extra, there's an extra skill level in there. It's not just doing a stencil, you're making it seamless, seamless. Square tiers are always way easier because obviously you can just work straight round it. You haven't got to wait for elements to dry and things like that. Then when it comes to sugar flowers, I do like what have I got on here? I've got a large rose on here, so that would be 55.
Okay.
My Lysianthus would be 45. I think I normally do them at. And then like if I've got a head of hydrangeas, depending on how many flowers are in there, like a head of hydrangeas might be £20. Depends on how many little flowers and blossoms I'm going to need in there. Yeah. Foliage on that would probably be 50. Because foliage is one of those things that people always like, oh, but it's just foliage. It's like it might just be foliage.
So much work. It's not my favorite part of the cake. I don't make those at all. I've stopped it because
they take a lot of time, and it's those elements that I always say, like, if you think you're going to only need 4 sprigs of foliage, you're going to make 6 or 7 sprigs of foliage. Because chances are you will need more. You're better. I always make more than I'm going to need, because I'd rather have too much than think, damn, I wish I had one more sprig to put in that arrangement. So I always factor in more, but nothing of it, if it's left over, it never goes to waste. It goes into like my spare stock box. So then when I come to do the next one, if I'm doing, most of them will have eucalyptus and rose leaves or something like that. So I have them in a box, and then I can go, okay, I've got those already. I only need to make that much more. Or I might do a bulk make of foliage and have it made and wired but not dusted and taped, so that I'm kind of maximizing so then you're maximizing your processes and you're utilizing your, like, this time of year to make those things when you've got lots of time and have them sat there, so that you don't have to do all of the processes when it comes to actually working on your orders.
So do you use silk flowers at all sometimes?
I don't. So my wedding cakes and my cakes all have sugar flowers on them. That's just because that's my speciality. But if you were doing silk flowers, Or if you're using fresh flowers and you use those, you need to make sure that you're factoring the cost of those in properly.
It's easier because what you pay when you buy them, you just charge or whatever. Would you put a markup on those? Or will you just charge for those silk flowers as it was?
I would say yes, because you've sourced them. So you've gone through the admin time of sourcing them and making sure that you're ordering the correct amount and what's going to work for your designs. But you also need to put in your time, not just for doing that side of it, which is your stock ordering side, which people forget to put the time in for that, but for your actual arranging, because your arranging of the florals on your cakes is not just the time of doing it, it's your skill.
Yes.
Because arranging those flowers is a skill level in itself as well. So that side of it needs to be brought into it as well. So so flowers and foliage and stuff, I do those more per item as such. So if I had 6 roses on the cake, it would be 6 times 55. Yes, when it comes to making them, making 6 roses in a process all at the same time does take less time than if you were doing
just
one individual rose and then one full individual rose and then one, like doing a full rose consecutively. Layering up processes does speed it up to a certain extent, but that's a skill in itself to be able to do that, because you need to be able to work through at a certain pace to be able to do that. But I still charge them as if it was to do each one individually. In the same way that I know there's different ways that you can run your businesses. So I always say, look at how many cakes and orders do you want to be doing in the week? What income do you need to be making from the orders that you are, or in a month, if you're doing it per month? What income do you need to be making, or do you want to be making from them? And then divide that out by the number of orders that you want to do. So you've got an average of what you want to be taking from each order. And the reason I say do it that way is because then you're going to set yourself like your minimum pricing will fall in around that.
Well, that was my question.
Well, the reason I kind of come around to that is because you see people that are doing so many orders and they're charging really small prices. Like if you go on TikTok and things, you see like, this is what I made this week in orders, and they're all like what I would perceive to be low value for the quality of work and what they're doing.
So I struggled with that initially as well. I found that so I only started baking 4 years ago. I did the Suzanne Esper wedding cake course, the cupcake top figurines, Zoe fancy cakes. I've done all the courses, re-educated myself during COVID, and starting a little business from home, moving to Northern Ireland. We've only lived here for 4 years because my husband moves around a lot. I found to feel the market was quite interesting. I found that here where we are, it's really farmlands. People can't really afford some of the cakes. I feel, or they're just being difficult.
That's more like it.
And I find, and because I do the celebration cakes, but I'm a teacher by so I love doing those sort of Paw Patrol and the Frozen, and they do give me a lot of freedom to be creative, and I explore a bit. But I do really struggle with setting a price. I sort of find that I sort of say to them, if it's a 6-inch or an 8-inch or a 9-inch cake, I do look at all the ingredients, obviously, and what I would be using, and the buttercream and the board and the box and the whole thing, and I get a rough price. What I really struggle is with my time and the skill in putting it together. And I find I'm really good at the figurines, actually what I really prefer doing. So I've started making just those, and then people put them on their own cakes. I just find, so for example, I had a customer now who wanted an 8-inch cake with a doll on and a rabbit and the dress and the whole thing on the cake. But she's now up to a 9-inch. and I was only charging her £90 for that 8-inch cake with the doll and the rabbit and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, if you want a 9-inch, I mean, it's like almost double the recipe. The board is bigger, the box is bigger, you know, that all adds up. And then it's chocolate. The chocolate price has just gone through the roof. I worked out it would cost about £20 more for that, because the figurine would be bigger, the sugar paste that I'm using, and that's become quite expensive. So I worked out, I said to her about £110 for that. And she said she's not paying that for any cake. And I'm starting to doubt whether I've got the right feel, or I'm undercharging, or whether you know, like that's why when I saw your course, I thought, this is now my conundrum.
What I would say is, because obviously I'm Northern Ireland based as well.
Yes.
Yes, there is a lot of farm country. Northern Ireland and Ireland to a certain extent are about a year and a half behind the rest of the UK.
Yeah.
When it comes to what's trending and what's coming through. We're a bit behind everywhere else. There is money. People will tend to think there's no money. There is money.
I always get them complaining. They always complain.
They are just very tight with them. That's why they have money, because they're very, very tight.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
They don't see the value in what we do. I know that they will talk about. I still get asked by people who knew me from my previous work before I started doing cakes, so over 15 years ago now, if I still make buns. Do you still make the buns? How's the buns going? And are you still doing it? And like, yes, I still make wedding cakes. I do, yeah. It's like, but like they just are oblivious.
I just focused on the buns. I know those are the cupcakes. I realized that. I learned that.
Yeah, because that's what I started off with, cupcakes. When it comes to the pricing, what I would say is you need to sit down and you need to work out all your costings, and then you need to work out how long, even if it's for your base price, so for your plain iced cake.
Yeah.
And then work out how long it takes you to get to that point of the plain iced cake in terms of number of hours involved.
And that includes from the baking the cake, or because I always bake the cake sort of on the Monday and I freeze it and I do the frosting in advance.
So that would include time taken for communication.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Time taken with communication.
Yeah.
Time taken ordering your supplies. Now, if you're ordering for multiple orders, then
it all comes from England now, because
if you know roughly how many orders that's going to do you. So say you're doing a bulk an order and you know it's going to do you at least 10 orders. Divide what that cost is by 10 and add that to the time that work out your costings, but the time that it takes you to do that, you need to work out whether it would have taken you the same amount of time to do that stock order if it was for one order or for 10 orders.
Okay. Yep. I'm with you. Yes.
Because it will help you if you know roughly how long.
Yes, because I mean, I have to order in bulk, because if you don't know the especially to Northern Ireland, the postage costs are like ridiculous. I actually found in some cases ordering from Amazon was cheaper than going with Cake Craft or Vanilla Valley.
Sometimes, yeah. But because, like, I do know that some of the cake companies are, because there's a lot of them that are under the same umbrella group now. Yes. And I know that they are doing a lot of work in the background on user experience and the way that their service is being provided and that. So I know that's going on. I don't know what is involved in it, but I do know that they have been doing a collective big bit of work on that, because they have been listening. They've been listening to the fact that we are all still having issues as a knock-on from the likes of COVID and Brexit when it comes to where we can get, especially after COVID, where we can get stock from.
Yeah.
Because you used to be able to go to one or two websites and do your entire shop that you needed for all your boards, your boxes, your icing, your sugar flour paste, your wires, your tapes, whatever you needed. You could get it from at least two places, and that was it. Now, I'm lucky if I can get the stuff that I need from like 4 or 5 different places, and I will have to hunt around, and I'll be spending much longer because I'll have multiple tabs open to work out where I can get the most, where I can get the most stuff
is worth
from.
your while, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's all our time.
Right.
If we were working for somebody else and we were in a business and we were doing a stock order for them, we would still be being paid for that time.
Yeah.
So that time that we spend doing things like stock ordering needs to be accounted for.
So how do you charge? Sorry, so how do you, when you say we charge for our time, so do we charge sort of what the going standard rate is per hour in Northern Ireland, or do you?
No, so what I would say, the way I work it, is skills that are something that is minimum wage type work.
Yeah.
I would say you need to put minimum wage to it.
Okay.
Which there is a standard minimum wage for the whole of the UK. So Northern Ireland included.
Yeah.
I'm not
Which
sure
is
what
£11 per hour.
£12.41, I think it is at the minute.
Yeah.
I've put mine at £15 an hour.
A lot of people will go 15
for anybody for less than that.
But your absolute lowest for any of your time that you factor in should be minimum wage, because nobody else.
It's a joke what I'm charging for my cakes.
Nobody else would work for less than minimum wage. So why should we work for less than minimum wage? So things like doing your stock orders, or going and picking up supplies from the supermarket, or doing your cleaning down, or doing your dishes afterwards, like prepping your work area, cleaning down your work area, doing your stock quotations, admin probably to a certain extent, except for design work and pricing up, because that's not minimum wage work, because you are the designer.
Yeah.
And you're the person who can cost it up. So there are certain parts of it you kind of have to weigh out. Okay, admin, if I've got to do from including design work and pricing, then maybe it's not minimum wage, it's £15 an hour, or whatever you decide to set for that.
Okay.
Baking, you need to decide where you feel your baking and leveling, filling, covering skills, where they sit. I always say, like, a minimum wage is defined as a job or a role that you can pick up usually within a day or two.
Yeah.
That you can pick up that role and you should be able to then step into it. That it needs minimal training to be able to do that job.
Yeah.
Baking, leveling, filling, they're not the highest level of skill, but they are still.
Yeah.
I would say more than a minimum, because you've got a lot that you need to understand with it. And then once you start going into covering with fondant or doing a good buttercream finish, or if
like a ganache and then fondant, so
like that all is then extra skill levels, because you need to have the knowledge to be able to make your ganache and the skills to be able to consistently produce a high quality product. The same with getting the finish on your fondant cover cakes if you're doing fondant cover. And then when you start stepping up again into like your figure modeling, your florals, your textures, whether it's like wafer paper sails, or like any of those rice paper sails or wafer paper ruffles or anything like that, stenciling, even using like the likes of the embossing mats. Yes, they do speed up the processes, but there's still a skill involved in using them. The same with molds. People quite often think that using a mold for doing detailing on a cake is an easier, cheaper way of doing something.
It depends what kind of finish. It depends on what kind of finish somebody does on that.
Right. The other thing is that molds can be effective. They can get you the results that maybe you might not be able to do freehand, or would take a lot longer doing it freehand, but they are still time consuming. And then one of the skills that people underestimate how long it's going to take to do them.
Well, so the outlay for all the molds is quite expensive.
Yeah.
You have, let's say, a sea cake, you have to have all the shells and all of that molds, and then you have a space cake. So it's like, and how many people order a mermaid cake maybe once a year?
If you had a request come in and you needed to order a new mold that was specifically required initially for that order, that mold cost goes onto that cake. The full cost of that mold goes onto that cake.
100%. So may I ask, so I have everybody sort of saying to me, well, can you tell me, have you got a price list? And I find that's really difficult, because if I have somebody saying to me, I want a personalized cake, they love skiing, so I'll make a skiing figurine, and then I've got an edible print.
I would say you could, if they're looking for a price list, have a start from price instead of it, but make it very clear these are
only start prices, right?
Starting prices.
I think that's something I'm actually looking at doing and putting together. And in my head, my idea is, if you want a 6-inch cake that's 7 inches tall, it will be start from this price, buttercreamed, this price fondant, this price ganached.
Yeah. Your alternative is to do
are extra.
Your alternative is to have a set range and then a bespoke offering.
Okay.
So you could have these are set designs.
Yeah.
So you could have a basic generic girls, boys, buttercream or fondant covered design.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do it with like drip cakes and the loaded cakes and that, because they're easier to do that with, I suppose. But you can do it with, if you create your own design, that's quite good for like young kids, young girls, young boys, or whatever, that will work and without minimal change, like it might be the age or the name that changes on it, and everything else stays the same. So you have like your set range where you have minimal choice on flavors, so it might just be 2 cake flavors that they can choose from, or 3 if you want to, and you can have this or that. If you want something past that, then it's a bespoke cake, and these start from price. This will allow, in this option you have flexibility to design your cake, but each this involves more design detailing and elements incorporated into it, which will be reflected in the price.
Yes, because basically, so Emma, so I have all my cakes are ganached. So I don't, unless they really want a Lambeth cake and it's really a buttercream, I do that. But I really struggle with the piping in that. I find the ganached cakes easier to work with. So I say to my clients, this is what I do. If you want something else, I have somebody else I recommend we work together. She does the others. So I would stack full the cakes, ganache them, fondant, and then I would have, because I just find it's a cleaner look, and then I'll do the figurines or whatever comes on it. So I could have starting prices for the different sizes, and then obviously for the different tiers. And then I think one almost has a feel like you would know what a figurine would cost in different size, like maybe, £10 for a little teddy bear, or would that be
with your figurines, what you need to do is work out how long they take you.
So a little teddy bear would take me maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. But if it becomes a human on skis, that's a 3-day process, because it all has to set.
Yeah. So what I would say is, with the next few cakes that you do, the only way for you to really know how long things
make a note of,
if you can set a time, if you can have a notepad and you write down what time you start working on an element, what time you finish it, what time you restart it again, and what time you finish it. So if you're doing one of those figures that you have to do in multiple stages, or if it's a flower that you need to do in multiple stages where you have to let bits dry, elements dry, like if you were doing Lysianthus, where you would do the central part of it first, and then that needs to be dried before you add the flower, the bits on the outside, so that it doesn't fall off the those kind of things. Then or orchids where you're doing multiple areas bits and then you're going to bring them together when they're dried and you're going to dust them and everything. So every time you start a process, record it and work out how long that actually took you.
Okay.
But you need to make sure that you're including, so if you're going to be doing a figure and you need to clean your area
How
down,
much sugar paste I'm using.
and you're setting up your work area, how much you're actually using of your product. Don't just calculate what you need, what you're using in the product, in the figure. Like, so if I was to say I used so many grams to cover a cake, I don't know, 175 grams to cover a cake of icing.
Yeah.
I'm just plucking the figure out of
here.
I personally don't just charge that.
Well, you've got the wire, you've got the tape, the floral tape.
You've got to charge the whole packet, right? So if the packet is 250 grams and I need to buy a 250 gram packet to use 175, I've still got to charge for the full packet and the time to go and pick the packet up.
Okay, so you would charge for the full packet and the time. Oh, okay.
I would.
Manel, I think
if you're doing
a question. Manel, have you put your hand up? Did you have a question?
Oh. No, I didn't have a question. I was going to ask Emma. I know we're talking about trying to basic price cake.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's okay for me to share because I did a little breakdown and it's pinned on my Instagram for both an 8-inch round cake and a 3-tiered wedding cake. Just the basics. So
I follow you.
Yeah, so that's why I was going to ask Emma. Is it okay if I share my
Absolutely.
details?
Yeah, please, because we need to do that.
Because it's open discussion, and I know that Manel does a lot of work on her pricing. She does a lot of pricing.
So the conversations I'm hearing right now is what I've been having with Emma for the last 4 years, 3 years.
Oh my goodness. What is your Instagram?
So I'll type it in, but it's Cakes by Manel, Minel. If you want, I'll just type it in here. And it's pinned to the top, so you'll see it.
Cakes by Manel. I found you. I think I found you. Multi-award-winning cake artist. There we go. Following.
Because and I'll just give you an example. I had exactly the same situation about somebody wants a celebration cake. They want to feed about 40 to 50 people. So just finger portions, and I do like 4 layers. So it's basically half and half. And I went back to them and I said, normal cake would be 160, chocolate, like you said, it's extra. So yeah, I said it's about £200 plus all the other bits and pieces. I shouldn't be doing this, but I break it down for them to say, this is roughly what it'll cost. And they came back to me and said, oh, we were looking to spend about 150 to 160.
Oh.
And I tell you, my initial reaction was going back to them and asking them, well, would you take a pay cut if your employer said to you, by the way, I've got, another person I need to pay. Would you take a pay cut? Because I was
just a great way of explaining it.
I'll give you a prime example of.
I've also got one. Carry on.
We get because we are a consumable industry.
Yeah.
By means of what we create is visual art, but it gets eaten, so it doesn't last. It doesn't stay there. It is. We are a luxury. We are not. And we are not essential.
That's what I call your business. We are luxury.
We are a luxury.
Yeah.
And we're not like supermarket cakes that are churned out. So a basic, if I was doing a 6-inch celebration cake, I would probably still spend at least 8 to 10 hours on it from start to finish.
Yeah.
100%.
Very start to when I finished. As in, when I finished being when I have photographed it, boxed it up, and done all my allergy information.
Is that as well?
Because the paperwork is an essential part for us in the UK. It's a legal requirement. We have to do it.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised how many people don't do it, and don't provide venues at weddings with the information that they are supposed to legally be required to do. But I priced today to have a full cut. This is for a hairdresser. I priced for my length hair to have a full color put on. So not foils, just a full color where it's painted on. And then a wash, trim, and blow dry. And it's guided at 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. And that was £104. And now that's how much it's costing for me in the local hairdressers, and I'm in a small town in Northern Ireland. So I know that in a city that will be more,
50 or something.
So that's £104 for 2 hours work.
Yeah. And if you're doing 10 hours on the cake.
Yeah.
And I know that I kind of was like, oh my God, that's how much? And but I'm like, well, actually, no, they still need to do all their training and keep up to date with the colours that they're using, and the colours that they use will change. They have their insurance and their overheads and everything else that's involved in it. And they are the skilled expert. Because when I seen that, I did go, okay, so what about box dyes? Where are box dyes at? Like, as in like the do-it-yourself version, as like if we were doing the cake themselves kind of thing, home caking. Just putting it together themselves from what they can get from the supermarket equivalent. But reading the box dyes, there was every dye that you went to read the reviews on, there was so many negatives on the inconsistencies of the products. I was like, well, I wouldn't go down that route because I'm not skilled in it. I don't know. It's not my training. I haven't done training in hair and what way it works and that. So in the same way as when you take your car to a mechanic, you know, like, you are utilizing their skills and expertise. You're not just paying them for that immediate bit of time. Their price actually includes all of their training and all of their experience and knowledge as well.
Then why is it that in the baking industry, it's just actually not understood? I mean, it's not respected. It's almost... I find, because this is an ongoing battle that I discovered with all the Facebook groups I've joined, everybody seems to be really struggling with this issue because nobody seems to value, or maybe because they don't understand. And I didn't myself until I started with them. When I got married 10 years ago to my second husband, and I said to Emily, you know, 1 to 3 a tiered cake. And then she sort of sat with me and said, you can't have, you know, a sponge cake and then a carrot cake, and all these dynamics that
I think
that takes time as well to sit with the customer.
To a certain extent, it comes from the fact that it's a creative industry. And arts and creative industries tend to not to be viewed as people who do it for the love of it, not for not as a full-time business, not as a profession kind of thing. In the same way that if when people price to have like somebody come and do their decorating for them, they're quite often, whether that's internal decorating or external wall painting or whatever, people will quite often be like, oh my God, how much to do that? It's like, yeah, but you're asking somebody to come and do that skill. You're asking them because, and if you're going to pay somebody to do that, it's because you value them taking a day to do that decorating over you taking 2 or 3 days to do the same thing at a lesser level of execution. And it's the value that people put onto what they're expecting to get from it. So it has always been seen as just cake, and ultimately it is eggs, flour, and everything else, but it's the artistry and the skill of the end product that is where the value comes into it. So it does come down to the audience that you are trying to attract or that you're working with. Some people are quite happy working and doing designs that are really quite quick for them to produce constantly, like those vintage style piped cakes or like the loaded cakes, where you know exactly what you're doing, you know your process. You could probably do those almost in like a sequence conveyor structure, so you could have them all pre-covered.
But
and
you'd
then
have to have constant orders and clients who
you
will
do
order
have
it.
to have, you have to have a lot more. So you would probably be charging less for that.
Yeah.
Under from what I see, people charge less for that under the assumption that they'll do more of them. So they build their business based on a larger quantity for a larger volume of orders for a lower price point, because they know the lower price point will attract more orders in.
Yeah.
But then they have to build that around either styles of cake that they can do faster, so that they can maximize time, or they accept that they have to work much longer days. And ultimately, I mean, when I first started, I used to take every order under the sun. I was not pricing cakes properly.
And not one cake is a duplicate. I found I have not made one cake that's exactly the same as the other. Every single cake I've made is totally different. So I don't
I never used to price cakes properly. It probably took me about 5 years before I started realizing that I was really not pricing properly at all.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really sitting down and working out exactly how long things were taking me. And every cake that I did, I was like, I wish I charged more for this. It's taking me so much longer.
So Emma, when you did that shift, from being at the stage where you're doing these cakes and you're charging, but you're starting to resent the clients because you realize you actually, at some point, you have this aha moment where you should probably be doubling your prices. When did you make the shift to specialize in wedding cakes? Is that like a trick that you need to actually specialize in one thing? Choose your target market.
You don't have to specialize. It was more, I specialized because that was the area of what I was doing that I really loved.
Yes. Okay. So
my real passion was from that. Like, I know people who absolutely love doing sculpted cakes, and like Joe, a lot of work. Joe
I hate. I've done them. I don't like them. A lot of work, and the central support structure and everything. It's crazy.
I've just seen your reindeer cake, and
have you?
I'm like, oh my god, how beautiful is this?
That took me 4 days.
I hope you charged like an arm and a leg for that.
I didn't. It was a Christmas gift to a really good client who had 3 children, and she's had a husband in a motorbike accident, and I really felt like I just wanted to treat her.
That's different. But
so that was a gift. Yeah, that took me 4 days.
But I'm just looking at that and I'm thinking that should cost at least £1,000 to £1,500, with the size you've got. And
Speaking of gifting,
I could have retired on the one cake.
Before I go on to the point of gifting, I'm going to circle back around to your figures and that when you're pricing your figures.
Yeah.
Definitely work out how much each figure is actually, how long it's actually taking you to make it, and value the skill.
I've got the to-do list. I'm loving this because I've got a project. I've got to do that. That's definitely, and breaking it all down is thank you. This is
because
great.
I find it hard pricing celebration cakes because I'm used to pricing wedding cakes.
Yeah.
So I'm used to pricing flowers and foliage and piping and monograms and those kind of details. So when I have one client who comes back every year for her 2 kids' cakes. This year one's going to be 9 and the old one's going to be 13, and I have been making their cakes for years, and they just automatically go in my diary on a roll every year. And she'll come to me she drives over an hour to come and get her cakes from me. She'll give me the theme and the number of people she wants it to feed, but if the design needs to be bigger to make it work, then I can go bigger. She doesn't give me a price limit. It's just whatever it is, because she knows that I'm not going to take the piss out of her. I will design something that meets her needs.
The regular clients know,
But sometimes with the cakes, the themes that she gives me, I have figures to make. So Henry's one last year was based on Fortnite, and it had bits and details and things that were made for it.
Yeah.
And I kind of get stuck. I not get stuck, but I'm like, right, okay, so how long is this actually going to take me? I have to go back to how long is this going to take me, and which equivalent skill that I normally price, would that be similar to? Because it's a different type of skill, but it's still a skill level.
Yeah.
So it does throw me, even me, when I come to pricing those,
you can
because
only
it's not
really
my
tell them
usual area.
when you're done.
Get used to pricing your typical type of thing that you are modeling and styling and that, and then you'll be able to start looking at, if you're doing something different, is it something that's like that? Is it going to take longer than that? Is it more intricate than that? And work from that. I would say your figures will probably need to go up in price.
Yeah.
I did a research, well, my friend did a research. She does cakes, but she only does cakes for her family, but she came to train with me, and obviously we've become friends. So she found me a website, and she goes, Manel, you need to start actually charging properly. And this person, I can't remember the name of the website. If I find it, I'll put it in the group, or send it to Emma. And she's actually listed. So she's actually listed like animals, just the little animals, which for us who do figures won't take that long.
Yeah.
She charges £25 per little animal figure. So like the little elephant, the little zebra, the little lion, whatever, if somebody wants 4 of them, it's going to be £100 basically, because if you think about it, they do take really long. And when I speak to a customer who comes to me, I want a wild one cake for my son's first birthday or my daughter's first birthday. And I say, oh, what's your budget? Oh, I want to feed 50 people, but I've got £150 budget. I'm like, I can't do you a cake.
Go to Tesco's.
Yeah, I can't do. And honestly, and I just think, wow, I need to start actually putting it out there that, a little animal figure will cost you £25. Don't expect
You have to.
You have the
have
central
to do
power.
things.
You have all this stuff that goes into it, and then you have to buy the vodka because you need to have the edible glue. That all factors in as well.
So it is a case of educating. We need to. You ask, like, how do we get out of this situation where to be respected more as a professional industry? And the way to do that is through educating.
Yeah, that's the key. Yeah.
And speaking more about what is involved, and showing people that this might look like a simple figure that is going onto your cake, but actually this figure, the cost of what's used to create this is £5 or whatever it is for creating it. And it has taken me 2 hours from start to finish, or an hour and a half from start to finish, however long it takes you. And even if this was like this, work out what your base rate, if it's going to be £15 an hour, like if that little figure has taken you an hour and a half, that's £22.50 in time already, plus £5, say, for your supplies and ingredients or whatever that's been used to create it. So you're already looking at £27.50 for one figure.
And then there's me that goes, oh, I'll just put a little piglet in on the side on the Winnie the Pooh cake.
We're all guilty of that.
The cake, that throw it in.
That comes down to boundaries, your own boundaries. And if you know that you are inclined to add something a little bit extra onto a cake.
So the added value thing is my thing. So
factor it in.
Yeah.
Factor that already into the cost.
Yeah, that's absolutely what.
So you're saying about like added value and that. I know that people look at my wedding cakes and the experience that I provide and the level of service that I provide for my couples. Like the couples that I work with they are a higher budget clientele. So my whole business, as I moved into weddings, I was still taking all of the orders and doing all of them. And then I realized that actually there was a lot of them that I really detested doing. I didn't like doing them. I didn't enjoy it. And I had decided that I needed to work smarter and not harder, because I was rapidly heading for burnout again. And burnout is not a fun place to be. And I have been there a couple of times, and it's horrible. And it can be burnout physically and mentally, but it can also be burnout creatively as well. So there are different types of burnout.
Yeah, I'm there a bit now as well with the Christmas period. I sort of feel I'm at a point also where do I just chuck it because I paint as well. Do I rather just do painting? I mean, I can sell a painting for £250, which makes me quicker money than the work and time you put into a cake. But I love the cakes, the
So
process.
if
So I'm
you
really
love the
struggling.
cakes, then I would say you need to revisit and restructure what you want your business, your cake business, to look like as part
Yes,
of your whole
yes.
lifestyle.
Yeah, I've
Because
realized that,
you ultimately, we
and I
are
feel it's
our,
more rewarding. I'm actually making something. Yeah, because at the moment I feel like it's like a sort of a bit unappreciated. It's like
yeah.
I'm working
And then we
for,
start resenting it,
yes,
when we
that's
feel
where I'm feeling.
unappreciated. Because I
Yeah,
went through that whole process, didn't I, Emma? Like all of last
Yeah.
year, I've just been
yeah.
so switched off and just not wanting.
So what I would say is you need to, we always, and I have to remind myself of this, that we are the boss.
Yeah,
We own our
yes,
business.
yeah,
We are the people that get to decide, and to, like, to a certain extent, I can understand we have like basic needs that must be met. And if you're not meeting those, then obviously you're going to have to adjust on that. But we get to design the way that we want our business to start working for us. So if you don't want to be doing multiple, like 10, 15 orders a week that I see some, or more, that I see being done on some of the TikTok pages, and that Jo will know, she sees them as well.
I can't. It's just too much. Standing on the feet all day is just killing my
But if
feet.
that's not something that is sustainable for you, in the same way as there are some wedding cake designers who will do 40, 50, 60 plus weddings,
Wow.
and they're doing multiple drop-offs in a week, or they have collections as well, like, so they are doing a large volume of weddings. That
But
might,
they must have help.
some of them do, some of them will be doing them on their own.
Oh,
But if they are able to sustain that, that's fine. For me, I couldn't sustain that. That wasn't the way that I wanted to work. I didn't want to be doing the really late nights. I didn't want to be doing weddings every week, week in, week out, every weekend. I wanted to be providing a much more higher level of service and much more contact with my couples, so that the expectation and the experience that I was providing was another level up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I decided to work with the work smarter, not harder, was
Yeah.
when I started pushing the price up. It's like, okay, so I'm going to incrementally increase a little bit as and when I felt was right. And the way that I would say I felt was right, I didn't massively jump up double the price, but I reassessed my pricing. I put my pricing up a bit. And then if you are booking nearly everybody that is coming to you and you're not getting any pushback, you can probably afford to push your prices up a bit.
Okay.
That's the way that I would have done it to start with. It is different now because obviously I'm working at a higher level of client. I don't need the same volume as I would have done before, but my overall income level will have sustained. It is a bit harder at the moment, and it's not just us as a cake industry within the wedding field anyway. It's not just the wedding cakes. I know that other sectors within the higher end market of weddings are also having a slightly slower time. It doesn't mean that they're not happening. It just means that the buying habits are changing with the couples. And it does this periodically anyway. So it's just that we're that kind of changeover between it all.
But you said, so it took you about 4 years before you realized that actually the wedding cake is rather do a very niche market, better pricing, you actually make more money, because that's quite a they must have money to order those cakes that you make, which are gorgeous, by the way. And so with the celebration cakes, and
so I would have got an overlap. So when I start, because I don't do
yeah,
semi-naked or buttercream style cakes, I don't do them anymore. I won't do them at all. But when I decided that I didn't really want to do those, I stopped advertising that. I stopped sharing the ones that I did. So although I was doing them for a good while, I would have done them until I was really like, I just don't want to do them anymore. They're not,
yeah.
I just don't get any enjoyment from doing them. It's like turning up to work that you hate. It's not good. So
yeah, to get into it.
I would have still done them, but I would have only taken the orders on in winter months when I knew it was cooler and it wasn't going to get affected by heat. I would have not advertised that I was doing them. Those ones would not have been shared anywhere, you know, like, and I would basically pray that nobody shared the photos from those
summer ones are a nightmare. Yeah.
So it was just kind of like filtering them out. In the same way as I just, with the birthday cakes and the celebration cakes, when I didn't want to be doing them all the time, because all I was getting was requests for farm cakes, Peppa Pig, and I can't remember what the other ones were at the time. It was like tractors and Peppa Pig were the only requests that were coming in. I was like, I just don't want to do it. So I just stopped sharing them.
No, there's no, yeah.
So I just stopped sharing them.
Okay, so there was that. Yeah, I feel like
you can still do them if you've got the time and you want that bit extra, but it's just switching it across. Like my regular client that I have, so Henry has had Sonic the Hedgehog theme. He's had Mario Brothers. He had the Fortnite theme one last year. He's had a Hulk theme one, but his mum will not post the images on her social media.
Oh.
Not because she's not proud of what I do, but because she understands copyright law.
Ah.
So Arabella, her daughter, had one a few years ago when the Bo Peep Toy Story came out. She wanted a Toy Story Bo Peep cake. And her two favourite characters were Jessie and Bo Peep from it. I was like, that's fine. I can do a cake inspired by those two characters, but I will not be making figures. And it was a 2-tier cake, and I based it on their costumes. Okay. So you could clearly tell what the theme was, but you know, like, so it looked really good, and I could share it, but it wasn't. I would never label it as a Toy Story cake, in the same way as I think one of Henry's earliest cakes was like based on The Good Dinosaur, cartoon film, and if you share this, it's just a dinosaur cake.
Okay.
The two figures were made of like him and his sister to look like similar to the characters in the film, the style that they were made, but I was like, if you share this, it is a dinosaur cake. It is not a good dinosaur where the inspiration comes from. I know that if you were to put, what was it? Paddington Bear, I think it was. If you put I seen somebody share, it was on a post either earlier today or yesterday. Somebody was chatting about cakes and stuff, and not doing character cakes. And that one time they had shared that they had done, I think it was Paddington, a Paddington cake, and it had been labeled as Paddington. And within a couple of hours, they had been contacted and told to take it down, and nearly lost all their social media.
Yeah, but I have too for a few years, but it does happen, doesn't it?
It does happen, and they do have departments that will go after you. But what customers don't understand is that the supermarkets that create cakes that are based on those themes will have bought a license that allows them to be able to create those cakes based on those themes.
Yeah.
Whereas unless we go and purchase a license to be able to use their theme, their product, their whatever, you know, whether it's a kid's character or the Louis Vuitton logo or, you know, like anything like that, the Nike logo, you know, they're all copyrighted logos. So you have to be seriously careful with what you're using and doing on your cakes. And the copyright factor was one of the reasons that added into me going, I am not doing those cakes anymore.
Yeah.
Because I am not risking losing everything because a customer has asked me to create a cake that is against like copyright.
Can I ask, Emma, if the client bought the figures and brought them to you, you can add them to the cake, can't you?
If they are official figures and they've been bought, yeah.
Yeah. So if they go to this, toy shop and just buy them and then say, yeah, can you just add these to the cake? Which I know we shouldn't technically be doing it, but yeah, we all do it and I do it. Then that's okay. I mean, I wouldn't still advertise it.
It's okay to add figures onto a cake because the figures have been bought.
Yeah, but you wouldn't.
Or the way that you would go around it is if you're sharing it, if it's a cake that you're then going to share and you're proud, like the design's something you're proud of, then when you share it, you can put a note, like a disclaimer of sorts on your post. So you can put at the bottom figures provided by the customer.
Client, yeah. And also you wouldn't then, would it be still okay to say, like, if it's a frozen cake and you've got Elsa bought, and would you say frozen cake, or should you really not even say that?
You can say inspired by, can't you?
I would say inspired by.
Yeah, okay.
And then just put in there figures provided by the client. Because if they're official figures, then it's not an issue. But yeah, I mean, and this is where it comes to, it factors into pricing as well. Because these are the kind of cakes that, especially, people think that when we talk about weddings, that we add so much more on for a wedding cake than we do for celebration cakes. And you see it all the time, people saying, don't mention that it's for a wedding because they'll double the price or they'll add an extra zero or whatever else on the end of it. And so there was a number of times where I have commented and I have spoken out, but I pick and choose my words because I basically have a look and see what the lay of the land is in the comments before I decide whether I want to weigh in on it. But it usually prompts me to go and do my own post about it off the back of it. But weddings do cost more. The reason weddings cost more is because there is a multitude of extra layers of admin and responsibility that are involved in them. There's way more admin. You've got design work to be done unless it's an off-the-shelf range, in which case the price point is lower anyway. If it's a set design, it will be lower. But if it's bespoke work, you've got more admin. You've got design work to do and sketching and everything. You have got tastings that you'll probably be doing, which need to be factored into the costings. Consultations should be charged for unless they've already booked, because consultations are your time. And I know that when I first started doing consultations, I did them for free, and then people just take the mickey because they're after free cake. Then I would have charged them but deducted the cost of the consultation off of the cost of the cake, as a way of enticing them to book almost. But that's not the right way of doing it either, because you still put time into doing that consultation, so you have to factor that into the cost of the cake if you are going to do it for reducing the cost. That you're going to take that amount off the cost of the cake, you're going to build it into the cost of the cake as well.
Emma, do you remember when I first started with you? Like, I used to do free consultations, and that's by the bygones now. I actually charge, and I don't take it off the cake prices. I don't even add it on and then take it off, because I just think, no, you want to come in for a consultation. And I explained to them, I said, and the reason why I charge is because I've got to bake the cakes and I'm spending an hour to 2 hours with you designing the cake, and it's my time. It's my time away from my family.
So there is more involved in weddings, and there's more pressure and everything in it. I don't, when it comes to initial consultations, I don't do any sketching until they've booked.
Okay.
I won't sketch until they're booked.
Wedding cakes are just
typically I don't sketch until they're booked. Sometimes I might do a little doodle. But I don't like doing them before I booked, and I usually charge if they haven't booked and they're having a proper consultation with a design with a tasting in it, then they're paying for it. Occasionally I might go and see them on the assumption that they're going to book me when I'm there. But not too often. I will do a discovery call, an initial chat, which I don't charge for at the time. But if they book, that admin time is already factored into their cost. If that makes sense.
Yeah, wedding cake's a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
that's a whole.
So the biggest,
I want to get into that.
the biggest takeaway that I would say is make sure that whichever style of cakes or sugar craft that you're doing, because it could be cakes, it could be sculpted, it could be cupcakes, it could be decorated biscuits, could be sweet treat tables, whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you are costing in all of your supplies and ingredients. Everything needs to go in. Make sure that you are including all of your time that is being spent on that order. And that includes admin time, that includes sourcing your supplies and your ingredients, that includes all your cleaning down and everything in between, and setting up, prepping ready for work, which people forget to include that time as well. Pay attention to how long things actually take you, and know that if something's like, add on buffer time. So like if you expect something to take you 4 hours, maybe allocate 4.5 or allocate 5 hours, because then you've got that buffer for if something goes wrong or you have to repeat it or it takes longer than you expected, then you're not going to resent how much you've got paid for it afterwards. There still will be the odd occasion where you'll look back and go, I wish I should have charged more for that. That took me way longer than I expected. But the more you understand how long your timings are for things and the value that you want to put onto those skills, because I'm not going to tell each of you how much you should be charging or what value you should be putting on your time, your skills, your knowledge, and your experience, along with taking you away from whatever else you could be doing. So when you're working on a cake or you're making figures and stuff, if you've got a family or a partner and you could have been doing that, going and spending time with them, what is the value that you put on taking your time away from them?
Yeah. Emma, may I ask you, what sort of percentage deposit do you require?
So for my wedding cakes, I take £150 non-refundable booking fee. And now I know
that a flat rate.
Yeah. Okay. But I know that there are people that would say that it should be more than that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But for me, I take £150 and I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be taking more, Emma.
The higher your booking fee is to secure it, the theory is that it makes more of a emphasis on the investment. You want to set it at a part where people aren't going to be wanting to turn away and leave that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if somebody was to cancel, decided they were going to cancel because Auntie so-and-so is going to make the cake for them instead. It's like, oh, well, we'll lose £150. That's fine. You know, like I have had cakes that I have cancelled. I don't know why they've cancelled in the past, but like, I'm like, well, they're not getting their deposit back because they paid the deposit. So
and they cancel when you already ordered half the products. And then you're sitting.
No, well, not normally. They're not normally so late. Occasionally, you might get a late one, but this is when it comes down to having your contracts set up properly and having all your compliance done properly and knowing that you are all.
So, may I ask, what would you charge? Let's say, just for my little celebration cake thing again. So, if I had a little frozen cake, 8-inch.
I'll give you
like a 20% deposit is fair?
So I take a £50 deposit for my birthday cakes.
£50. I like that. I think that's fair, yeah.
And then full balance needs to be paid 2 weeks before.
Ah, okay. Oh.
I take 50%.
Different people will say different things,
Yeah.
you know, like, but quite often I have people that are securing their date and they don't know what design they're having, they're just securing the date.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
You know, so let me just have a quick look and see if I can find.
I've just set up 50% with mine.
For celebration cakes, generally, unlike Emma, where you know, she's just booking the date. For me, generally, they want to know what they're getting and how much they're likely to pay, and then especially if it's 3 weeks, if they've contacted me 2 to 3 weeks before they want the cake, I say it's full amount needs to be paid up front. Yeah. And majority.
You know what's interesting is that in Northern Ireland, I've not had anybody not pay me. I've never asked a deposit, and I've always been paid full amount. I've never really had in the 4 years anybody not pay me.
That's really good.
I think it's wonderful because obviously the people around you are so super honest, and I come from South Africa.
They're not always like that. Right. So before we finish up, I'll give you my examples. So this was Henry's birthday cake last year, the fortnight one.
Yes.
So
what is that, an 8-inch?
No, it's a 6-inch.
A 6-inch. I couldn't see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 6-inch. I charged £210 for that one.
Can we see it again, Emma? Can we see it again?
Oh my God, I'm charging 95 for one, like that, 6-inch.
Oh, you'll need to speak up because at the moment I've got a net on the screen.
Can you not see me?
Yeah, now I can see you.
There you go. So I think that was a 6-inch on a 10-inch board or a 12-inch board. And then Arabella's last year. Let me just find it. It was August. Should be on here still. Yeah, there we go. So Arabella's cake was this one. So it was a 6-inch again. This one was Henry's fortnight one was either a vanilla sponge with raspberry jam or chocolate. I can't remember. So it was a proper cake. Arabella's one, this one was a chocolate biscuit cake, so it was solid chocolate inside it. Yeah. Henry's must have been a 7-inch and this one must have been a 6-inch because this one worked out. This one was £240.
Yeah, I need to double
my prices. It was 6 inches deep, 6 inches wide, chocolate biscuit cake, which is pretty much solid chocolate. Then it had white chocolate ganache over the chocolate biscuit cake and then covered in fondant, and then that's royal icing piped.
Okay.
On it. And then the cherries are fondant.
So I made to make those as well.
I made the cherries and then I did the writing on the top as well.
I've got wrong
double my prices. I could cry.
No, like they're not
clients.
Like
I just want to give it up.
They're not all going to be like that. And I am very used to people asking me about birthday cakes. And I'm like, yeah, what sort of style? I'll ask them when it's for, how many they want it to feed, and what sort of style they're thinking of. So they can give me an inspiration image. And then I can go back to them and go, yes, I can create something inspired by that, but or an elevated design inspired by that, especially if it's something that's not very pretty. Then I will say to them, you're going to be looking at approximately XYZ for the price. And I am quite comfortable if they turn around and either ghost me or say that that's above their budget, because
I wish I had your confidence. I was like, oh no.
It's not easy, but I am not turning my oven on for lower than that when I know that I have worked that price out based on how long it's going to take me to do that and paying myself properly and building in profit for my business to be able to reinvest into my business.
Yeah.
And yes, that means that I do have a part-time job. So I work 1 day a week on a reception in a leisure centre. Mm-hmm. But yes, that gives me a little bit of steady income that's guaranteed every month. It also gives me social interaction and contact as well outside of my kitchen and my workspace.
Oh gosh, that's what I don't have. So that is good.
But it also, which has been a massive benefit for me over the last year, and I didn't realize how much that was important I needed that. It also gives me the social interaction, especially if you have awkward customers or awkward clients. And that for me, in that role that I do there, it helps me to keep on top of my processes on communication skills and dealing with those situations and things like that. So actually it's a benefit to my business,
100%.
not a
I used to have a full-time job,
detraction.
and now I just sit at home and bake. And I think my confidence has taken a massive dive where
But
I just questioning myself.
Opening out and being honest about the industry. There is a lot of people within the industry who are perceived to be of the high top level who actually also have another job.
Yeah.
Which actually would surprise a lot of people. People don't realize that is happening, and it is happening. You either got people that are closing down or they're taking
survive on it alone. Yeah.
And it's to be able, part of that is because of it is there is a survival status going on still at the moment. But also for the creative side of it, for being able to be able to step back and go into I need to be creating and feeding the creative side of what I love doing for being creative, and I want to be valued for that. And in order for me to do that, that means doing less orders. And if I'm going to be doing less orders, I need to be able to make a sustainable way of being able to do that. And that might be taking on a part-time job, doing something else that you actually quite enjoy doing. And there's no shame or stigma in doing that.
No.
And I think that sometimes people feel that there is, and there isn't.
It's just difficult. For me, it's been difficult moving because I move country all the time just to get into a job. So my husband works and I'm always at home. And if I take on another job, I always feel like the household, everything is sort of but the social interaction is important also from a point of view that the more people you meet and work with, the more customer base you can build.
Yeah.
Because the more contact you have. I resorted to becoming friendly with my Royal Mail lady and asking her to put my business cards in all the post boxes, which she did.
Even if they're not your customers, it's an opportunity to be able to educate.
Yes, and that's key. So there's so many aspects I've learned tonight. My mind is just, thank you.
Well, I hope that you have all found it useful. I hope, Joe, I've done what you intended by asking me to do this in the first place.
Yep, definitely.
Opening up the conversations, and there is so much more to it, and it's a lot of it is having the support around you to be able to continue approaching these things and understanding that it's not something that is a one-off fix that's going to correct it all or is going to sort out your confidence with pricing or anything like that, because as I've demonstrated, I still have those confidence wobbles with things, and it is ongoing process and it's ongoing things that we have to work on. The same with anything that we do when it's connected to the business side of a cake business. It is always something that you will revisit and refresh and update fairly frequently. And it's about having that support network around to be able to do that.
I found the baking community, though, very supportive.
Yeah,
they are
just wonderful people. They really are. In most other industries, you don't get it like that.
I would say that most of it is. I wouldn't say that all of it is. There's pockets of it, not supportiveness there, but it depends on which groups you found your community with. It's finding the right surrounding group around you to be able to support you, and the right type of support. Because there are some great communities, but I wouldn't necessarily say that some of them.
So you've had a few negative experiences.
Not that I'm negative, but not that the advice that may be given might not necessarily be the right advice.
Okay.
Sometimes. So one thing that I would say differentiates me from a lot of the others that do cake business coaching and mentoring is that I am still actively in the industry. I still take orders. I am still navigating the changes in the way that customers order things, all of that stuff. I still experience that and navigate that at first hand. whereas a lot of the other cake business mentors and cake coaches have stepped away from that side of the industry and concentrate solely on either content creation and cake business mentoring.
Well, the content creation makes a lot of money. I mean,
it does. There's nothing wrong with that side of thing. My USP from my point of view is that I still actively navigate the industry because I am taking orders. I did a design consultation this afternoon on Zoom with one of my American couples. I've got a consultation call booked in for Monday afternoon with another couple that are abroad that are potentially looking at booking me for their wedding cake. You know, like
so you ship cakes?
No, they're getting married in Ireland.
Oh, they're getting married in Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, those ones are getting married here. I travel with cakes as well, but I also have had 2 celebration cakes that I have quoted for this week, both of which I haven't heard back from. So I get both sides. I get all sides of it. So I fully understand the whole industry. I'm still in it. I still fully understand the pricing aspects of it. I understand all of the hassles that everybody goes through when they're trying to order stuff because it's not there. Unlike some cake business coaches where they have gone back to do an order for somebody when they haven't done one for a couple of years and suddenly realized how much everything is costing. But they're teaching people how to price stuff and they're not actually knowing how much stuff's costing. You know, so it's kind of like counterintuitive. Right, so I am going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Anybody that's watching this back on replay, if you have any questions, Michelle has just put the comment up there. Let me see. Only bake for family and friends. This evening has been so informative and helped you. Oh, I'm so glad that you found it really helpful. And one of the things that I really want to encourage people to do is those that are looking at that, like Joe, that's looking at stepping into taking that step into charging for their cakes and establishing their business from that aspect, is if you start off doing it the right way, it's much easier than it would be.
That's definitely
when we
yes, because it's so difficult
when you
prices.
Yes, because that's why it took me so long, and that's what you're struggling with. And it's because I didn't have the access to that kind of knowledge when I first started. If somebody had said to me, look, this is the industry standard, you need to be doing at least this, then the whole platform would be elevated that bit. So yes, we would still have a variation in pricing, and there should always be a variation in pricing, but that low level will be at an acceptable low level that is at meeting minimum wage standards, you know, like minimum level of living, you know, so like it would up level the whole industry if we could bring that through and we could start getting that level coming through.
I can actually feel my shifting, my thinking has totally shifted tonight. Thank you, Emma.
Oh, you're welcome.
Are there any ladies that are on tonight that have Instagram profiles that I could follow? Because I always want to learn and watch. And is it?
I'm Joe's Cake Studio on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
Hang on a second. Say that again.
Joe, J-O-S, Joe's Cake Studio. Let me type it in.
I think I've got it. J-O-E-S?
No, J-O-S.
Oh. Cake Studio.
Popped it in the chat.
Joanne Upton.
Yes, that's me.
Gotcha. Follow. Nice to see and learn. Anybody? Who else?
I will follow you straight
back. Michelle said Manel, you've got cakes by Manel.
I've got Manel's.
And Michelle's not into business yet.
Okay.
Joe, I watched your mermaid cake before you even started talking about it. Literally, I'd just seen your mermaid cake and then you started talking about it. Yeah. And I was like, I've just seen this.
Yeah, it was nowhere near what I wanted it to be, but it was what I wanted it to be.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh, I love your basset hound.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's not cute.
So if anybody does have any questions afterwards and they want to drop me a question afterwards, you're more than welcome to do that. If you are interested in ongoing support on stuff like this and on trainings and things like that, then my top recommendation would be the My Luxury Cake Academy, because all the training that goes in there is requested by the members that are in there. And we have a broad scope of everything from pricing to we've got through a 3-part training coming up over 3 months on social media, specifically targeting Instagram, looking at how to communicate with current couples, how to get them through to leads and inquiries, and how to convert them on Instagram in particular, but it's being able to kind of cross that across to other platforms as well. And we've also got other demos coming up. We've got modeling demo, there will be a painting demo. I'm trying to think who else I've got coming in. There's a few other ones as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can always drop me a message as well, because I can pass you on the information for that. That starts from £25 a month, and there's 4 live sessions a month in there. And it's all this kind of like chat, and you will get open and honesty from me. I mean, I will vouch for that.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Lovely meeting all of you.
Yeah, and you, and loving both your cakes as well. They're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good night, everybody. Sleep tight.
Good night. Thank you, Emma.
Bye. Thank you, Emma.
Thanks, ladies. Bye.
Emma, you gone? Emma, you gone?
She's left us.
You still there? Have you stopped? Have you stopped recording?
I think
no,
so.
it was still recording. It would have jumped across host to somebody else. I don't know why it did that. It's done that before. I've gone to